Imagine casting a spell that actually worked. Here's how magic taps into forces you may have never known existed. Years ago, a friend invited me to read tarot cards for her bachelorette party. And of course, I said yes. It was a wonderful party. We were dancing. She'd rented out this beautiful clubhouse on a lagoon, and it was just a wonderful night catching up with old friends. But I have to admit, I hadn't read tarot cards for other people for a very long time, so I wasn't sure how it was going to work out. It turned out I was on fire. Everybody I read tarot cards for gave me some version of, how did you know that? I mean, they were shocked at what I was coming up with. And I was a little shocked by what I was coming up with too, but I was having so much fun. I didn't care. It was just a great party. A couple years later, I read tarot cards for the same group of women, and I was not on fire. I could tell they were a little bit disappointed. What was the difference? Well, I think it's what I call the magic zone. Now, anyone can pick up a magic spell on the internet these days. In fact, I actually include magic spells in the back of my Doyle Witch mystery novels. It was kind of a spoof because in cozy mysteries, there's always recipes in the back of the book or knitting patterns in the back of the book. And so I thought, well, I'm doing witch mysteries, so I have to include spells in the back of my book. But here's the thing, the secret to doing magic isn't having a great spell, it's being magical. Yes, to do witchcraft, you need to be a witch. To cast spells, you need to be a magician. Okay, how the heck do you do that, Kirsten? Well, here's the thing, it's actually not that hard. A lot of people have talked about what I call the zone of magic. Abraham Hicks called it the vortex. He calls it a state of sort of vibrational alignment when your emotions are in such a high state that they actually vibrate at a lighter, higher level and they attract your desires to you. Aaron Dowdy, who I love him, he's on YouTube, he's fantastic. He talks about being high vibe. And yes, being in a positive state does work. I once meditated and listened to high vibe guided meditations every day for weeks to get myself in this great state and get amped up. And when I was in that state, I not only met the man who I'm going to be marrying this fall, but I was also just incredibly lucky. I kept getting things I needed without asking for them or paying for them. They were just gifted to me. I kept winning stuff. It was really nice. But there's more to the story. I am not in that high vibe state right now. I don't have time for that sort of meditative work, but I was asked to do tarot readings for another group of friends recently online. And once again, I was wondering, not sure how this is going to work. It's been a while since I've done this, and especially because we were doing it over Zoom. So I didn't know how that was going to go. But once again, I was leaving these strangers open mouthed with my readings, even though I wasn't in this crazy elevated state like I had been for my friend's pre wedding party. Then I came across a book. It's by a man named J.B. Rhines, and it's called New Frontiers of the Mind. It was published in 1937, so almost 90 years ago, and it's considered a seminal work of parapsychology. Rhine was a pioneer in experimental parapsychology, and later on, some people said his scientific method was not up to snuff, and then another group of people came on afterwards and said, yes, it was up to snuff. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not going to go into all of that, but he identified key factors which boosted his subjects' odds of success when it came to extrasensory perception and other parapsychological, that's a word, activities. So, first, spontaneity. Subjects tended to perform better when they approached tasks with a playful and spontaneous attitude. Next, confidence. Subjects who were confident in their abilities, or at least open to the possibility of succeeding, tended to score higher in the experiments. What Ryan called comedy. This is comedy, not comedy. And this is an old-fashioned word, and it's about goodwill between people. So subjects perform better when they felt at ease with the experimenter and just trusted the process. Novelty was another one. New, engaging, or stimulating tasks tended to enhance precog abilities. When things got repetitive or monotonous, abilities went down. Next, curiosity. Subjects who were genuinely interested in the experiments and motivated to explore the unknown tended to do better. Ryan connected this sense of curiosity with a sense of childlike openness, where the mind is free from rigid assumptions and receptive to unexpected phenomena. And finally, a fresh and energized mind. And here he said caffeine actually ended up being a big help. And I realized that even though I wasn't as high vibe recently when I was doing the Zoom readings as I had been before, I had hit all of those factors. Before I sat down to do the reading, I kind of shook myself out. I got myself in a relaxed state and I told myself, you know what? Let's just see what happens. Anything could happen. I could do a fantastic job, but I will be honest, however this plays out, and I'm just going to have fun with it. And it was very spontaneous. There was some novelty because I was doing it over Zoom. I had confidence. The comedy was there. And I was curious about what was going to happen next. And I did have some caffeine, not coffee though, tea. After 2 hours though, I was flagging. So, lesson learned, keep my tarot readings short. Before we finish, here is one more thing to consider. I do think the more emotionally elevated you are, the more magical you tend to be, but you don't have to be in this blissed out state all the time to do magic. I included exercises and tarot cards from my fictional mystery school in my mystery school series of novels. They aren't spells. The exercises and cards are all, well, mostly oriented towards helping people be more magical, to clearing away the barriers to being in this elevated magical state, to get you in the magic zone. Curious? Check out Shadow of the Witch from my mystery school series and let me know what you think.